DC versus Vampires Hunters issue 1. So this is a one shot, which actually does. Like, I thought it might be set further ahead, or it might be more.
It's a little bit ahead, but not much.
But it kind of feels like, I mean, maybe the next issue of the main series won't necessarily be after this, but it does kind of feel like this is set after a lot of the big revelations that happened just in the main book. This issue is kind of interesting because it does kind of feel like this kid could just be the next main issue, and because if this is considered a side one shot, then what's the rest of the main story? Like, I feel like the next main book's just going to pick up kind of after this, or
yeah, but unless we're switching perspectives entirely, we're actually like following vampires in the main book for the next.
Maybe yeah. Or we're following other characters who are surviving, because maybe that was the end of the Bat side of the story, so this was kind of like a sort of follow up to that, and then the main book's going to like start veering into just more Green Arrow with doing other stuff with them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but so this is like in a world where vampires have kind of taken over, and the interesting part is that Damien is a vampire and seemingly does kill Martian Manhunter at the start, but it turns out that he's actually working with Martian Manhunter and the other humans, even though he is a vampire, and he's drinking pig's blood. So I immediately, of course, when they revealed this, that Damien's actually a bit of a double agent, and he's still working with the humans, even though he's a vampire, it was like, okay, so why though? Like, why is he still good? Like, it's interesting because Damien, of course, has got the attitude and he's a little shithead, so it's kind of interesting that he's the only vampire who's not evil.
And it kind of answers that over the issue, though.
It does to an extent, yeah. It's still a little open because it kind of sounds like it's just because he had the good influence of Alfred to kind of keep him being good.
Hey, Alfred is that good. We know this.
It is. I mean, I do feel that there should be a little more to it, just because I feel like, wait, so you can just like be good if a vampire has a good influence, they'll still be good, because
only it seems like maybe only like if it's just after they've turned, though.
Yeah. Because, you know, it's not like all the other characters who have turned immediately evil didn't have like lots of good influence before that point.
Yeah, I assume this is to do with being a good influence and knowing they're a vampire and like actively working against that, as opposed to just, you know, the general being good people that most of our heroes are.
But there is an irony to Damien being the one who this is, right? Like, because he is the one who is aggressively the least like heroic in the traditional sense. I mean, he's still good, but you know, he's got the attitude. He's sort of like maybe you could argue that his past of like having to fight the conditioning that Talia and Raz put into him, where they wanted him to be a killer, and he had to like actively fight that once he met Bruce. You could sort of maybe argue that sort of set him up to like be able to fight this in a weird way.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's ideas there. The whole issue is then effective about them sneaking in. The idea that Dick, who's the ruler of the vampires, will only speak to someone if they've got like something good to show him, like someone who he wants to be captured. So he brings them what looks like to be Alfred, but it's actually Martian Manhunter, of course, impersonating Alfred. Dick has already predicted and knows that Damien's working with the good guys, but he goes through a bit of a charade. We get Vampire Grodd, Zaz, and Wonder Girl showing up here.
I love the panel where they're all just flying off the side of the building.
Yeah.
And Dick's just at the top, just in his brooding vampire black cape. He's definitely watched the Underworld movies one too many times.
I do like the subtle Nightwing logo on the back that you see later.
That was nice.
Nice little touch. But there is this interesting thing here where Dick does let them go at the end. You know, he accepts that they'll leave and they'll never see him again. And just to actually make a genuine comparison, I do think the way the vampires dust is very Buffy-esque, just in the way they kind of like explode into dust and you see the skeleton inside. Yeah, it's very similar kind of effect.
I actually loved the layout of those 2 pages as Damien's running. So he's running through the hallway, going through all the vampires, and then you have the vertical split of him dropping down all the floors.
I especially like that first page with the hallway, with him like dusting the vampires as he's running like across.
Yeah, I really like that page as well. But I like the touch on the second page of just showing us what floor he's on by just, you know, seeing the numbers on the doors behind him as he flies through, and it still works down in a diagonal motion. It's such a good flow. Yeah,
that's good stuff. So yeah, he's Black Mask is a vampire. He stakes him as well, so he's gone. And then ultimately, Damien has to protect Alfred, and he gets burned severely.
UV light in the flames from fire.
Yeah, and so Joey, it looks like Jason Voorhees actually when he gets all burned, like young Jason Voorhees.
I can see it.
That's what it looks like. But Alfred's like, bite me. You need strength. Bite me to make yourself better. And he does. He's reluctant, but he does. So we get this like moment where Alfred comes face to face with Dick, with the evil vampire Dick Grayson. So, and he says, Damien, he was able to fight it because he had Alfred. And he's like, no, I want you to make sure you can take care of him, and you can have a choice here to leave, but that's it. He has hope that one day humans and vampires can live in some kind of harmony. And I guess the motivation why vampires want that in some extent is that humans need to still exist for food. Like they need humans to exist. So
it's always a big problem in a lot of vampire world domination stories that gets overlooked. You do have some of them that address it, but it is definitely overlooked in a lot of them.
Yeah. And this does seem, I mean, I don't know if humane is the right word, but so there's a story in season 3 of Buffy where they go to like an alternate world where vampires have taken over, and their tactic for like dealing with it is they actually breed humans and they want to like just treat them like cattle, where they actually just try to like turn it into like almost like a winery.
The Matrix approach.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, where they've just got like a thing where they're just like they've got human blood on tap because they're starting to farm humans effectively. So the interesting thing. No, it's good. So it's basically Dick's like, you can kill me, but that will not end well, and it'll just cause chaos. But if I let you walk out, you'll never get another chance to kill me. But you get to keep Damien alive and look after him, and hopefully we have a better future. So there is this thing that there is like this idea that Dick still wants some good things, but he is still a vampire, and so it adds a bit of some layers to this like dynamic between him and his old family that are still alive in some form.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. I'm digging it.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, you could debate that the only reason this is called something different and not in issue numbers because it's a different artist, but at the same time,
we had co-artists on the last couple.
We did have co-artists in the last issues, and also I assume that this is separate in the sense that this was not, because the original story was like by Tyne and then Rosenberg came in to finish it, right?
Yes. Tyne gave it the outline of the ideas.
So I have to assume that this one shot and then this miniseries that's going to be run alongside the second half of it they're all new sort of add-ons that Rosenberg's come up with. So
yeah, because this doesn't have Tynan's name attached to it in any capacity. No. So this is entirely Rosenberg's brainchild of what if we did this.
Which is cool because he's fleshing it out. He's adding more stuff to it that makes some sense, and I would argue that this relationship that he set up here between Vampire Damien, who's being good, Alfred, and Vampire Dick, the Overlord, is added some dynamics here that I think make this all a bit richer, which is good. So yeah. So win-win and all those things, and the art's is actually very good. So I wasn't missing Schmidt, even though Schmidt's great.
No, it's very different, but because it's not trying to be the same thing, I didn't feel like it was, this is just not Schmidt. I wasn't getting that feeling because it was, I mean, it helps that, okay, it's in a separate one-shot book, so it doesn't feel like it's connected anyway, but also that it's just good enough on its own right.
Yeah, little Angel Damien's action sequence of like going down the building, dusting vampires was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. What are you giving DC versus Vampires Hunters issue 1?
I'll probably give it an 8. I'm digging it. I'm glad we got more of these kind of, I don't want to say Elseworlds, but just out of continuity stories that we're getting recently.
I'd call it an Elseworld. I mean, it's not that banner, but it is. That's what it is, really.
Essentially, yeah.
I'll give it 8.5. A lot of fun. Added some layers to this storytelling, and I love how it's playing with these characters and who they are in this context. So, yeah.